Welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, I reflect on running my first 2 transformational retreats and share 7 powerful lessons I learned along the way. Whether you're starting a business, launching a project, or stepping outside your comfort zone, these practical insights can help you grow, adapt, and keep moving forward. Welcome to You Matter, I Matter, a transformational podcast about reconnecting with what truly matters. I'm your host, James, and each week is an opportunity to explore a little bit deeper who you really are. With amazing guests, we explore topics such as purpose, connection, commitment, and what it really means to live more consciously. If you've been feeling disconnected from yourself, from others, or from life, you're in the right place. Join us on You Matter, I Matter. Now, let's begin. I have officially ran my first 2 full-day retreats to do with dragon energy, and they've both been a very big success. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the 7 lessons that I have learned from running these 2 retreats that can be applied to everyday life. So quickly before I jump into the 7 lessons, I just want to give you a little bit of a backstory to why I'm running these retreats in the first place. Middle of last year, I decided to have a healer, an online healer. And she came for a recommendation of my coach, which I had at the beginning of last year. And she suggested this lady and said she's absolutely amazing. So I had sessions with her. I think I had around about 20 plus sessions with her. But one thing that kept coming through with the sessions that we had was dragon. And so she told me a way which I can start to connect with dragon. And so obviously I started to practice this. And the more that I practiced, the deeper connection I created with this dragon energy. And it helped me to remove past lives, helped me to remove beliefs, helped to remove stagnated energy. And the greatest thing was that she kind of, every session, she told me how much had been cleared since the session before. And so this gave me the idea that if I can use dragon energy to channel and to heal and to remove things that no longer serve, why can't other people? And so I came up with this idea of initially running a weekend retreat, but a weekend retreat's quite a big step to go straight in. So I decided to start running day retreats. And as of now, which is the beginning of July 2026, I've ran 2 retreats to date with great success. And so I just wanted to quickly kind of talk about some of the lessons that I have learned from running these 2 retreats. And the first lesson is, it's not going to be perfect. When you start running retreats, you have this idea in your mind that, yeah, I'm going to do this. People are going to love it. They're going to have great transformations. Everything's going to change. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Hey down. Yes, here we go. But it's not like that. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be times where when you are moving from, say, meditation to dance or to journaling, there's going to be some ickiness. There's going to be some times when it doesn't quite go right, or it doesn't quite sit right, or it doesn't quite feel right to the people. And so, yeah, it's not going to be perfect. But one thing I have learned from it not being perfect is how it can be improved. I've learned ways in which I can change, ways in which I can alter things, and understanding that life isn't perfect. If we had a perfect life, I think it would be quite boring. And there's these times when things don't quite go to plan that make a life more enjoyable, more challenging, more obstacles. And obviously these challenges and obstacles can help us to grow. And so it's this idea that we have this perfectionism kind of way of thinking in which everything has to be perfect. So I'm not going to start this task, or I'm not going to start this whatever it is until I have it perfectly sorted. And this path of not having it sorted can quite often mean that we don't get started at all. How many times, I'm going to ask you all a question, whoever's listening down now to this episode, how many times have you started on this idea or something, you wanted to make sure it's perfect, but because it wasn't perfect, you never started it at all? But if you had started it, where could you be now? Where could this idea have really progressed to if you had just started with it? And what you'll always find is with anything, regardless of whether it's a book, whether it's a retreat, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a job, whatever, a speaking gig, just get going, just start, and you will learn along the way. And it's this realization for me that every retreat isn't going to be perfect at all. I'm just going to it's just going to be a little bit better than last time. A little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And as time goes by, it gets better. It becomes amazing. And as a retreat host, or if you want to think of yourself as a speaker or a podcaster, whatever job that you do, you're going to find that you improve, you gain new knowledge, you are able to evolve, you get better at certain things, and that's how life is generally. And if life was perfect, we would find it so boring. Number 2 is kind of linked to this. So it's have a beginner's mindset. And through this beginner's mindset, you are always learning. You are always there to realize, be open to new ways of improving, be open to new ways of progressing. And I'll give you an example. So yesterday, quite often when I do my meditations, I have this idea of a plan that I want to go through with the meditation, but I don't plan the script. I just have little bullet points of what I want to cover. And then I allow my intuition, in the moment, to guide me to where I need to go with regards to the actual meditation itself. Yesterday, I felt as though the meditation was a little bit clunky at times. But it's, for me, looking back now, I'm able to realize, okay, this section felt very clunky. This section here felt quite aligned and sorted. So then I'm going to take out the bits or alter the bits that felt a bit clunky, or improve them, so that next time I run my meditation, it's almost like an evolved version of what I've done. And it's been allowing yourself to be open to feedback, because feedback is so important. Like yesterday, some of the feedback I got from the people taking part, some of the feedback was that I could do like a group energy dragon healing at the very end. There was also a lady suggested doing a meditation so that they leave feeling calm. There was a guy who was there who suggested I bring it a bit more, because he felt it was very, very soft and calm and chilled. It's very feminine flow energy. So maybe next time I can bring in some masculine energy, some more like kind of big movements kind of thing. So maybe we do a bit of like qigong, or a bit of chanting kind of thing to bring that masculine energy back in. And so, yeah, that feedback was immense, because now I can take that feedback and improve it for next time. So, yeah, it's an ever evolving event, really. So it's never, ever the same. It's always evolving. Lesson number 3 is to allow things to change or alter on the day. And the reason I've chose this one is because my first retreat, a lady suggested that we did a partnered healing session to do with dragon energy. And yesterday's retreat, I was able to decide to go and do part of the retreat outside in some woodlands, which actually had quite a huge, profound effect. So it's been open to allowing whatever it is, whether it's a retreat, a podcast, a speaking gig, whether it's a job or a business opportunity or whatever it is in your life, allow things to alter and to change. And so I want to put a question out there to everybody and ask, are you a kind of person who has a plan and are very rigid with your plan? Or are you the kind of person who has a plan, you are kind of rigid, but you also allow things to change if it needs to change? Because my realization is sometimes when I try to be too rigid and keep that, I almost feel stagnated and I struggle. So I'll give you a couple of years ago, I went to a speaking gig. Well, actually, I went to the Professional Speaking Association and I was taking part in this competition. And this competition was a 5-minute speech, and I had the speech all written out. And I got onto the stage, and I literally, in that moment, completely forgot what I was going to say. Literally completely forgot. And I was like, oh no. And then I stopped. And then the audience was there trying to wanted me to do well, because that is a competition. And so everybody was cheering me, come on, James. So I started again, and the same thing happened. So in this moment, I had a choice. I could either walk off with my head down, looking at the floor, or I could just say, you know what, stuff it. I'm just going to roll with it. And whatever came out, came out. And I did that. I just allowed whatever to come through. And I must admit, I did swear 3 times, which is actually quite funny after I did it. I didn't even realize I was doing it. But at the very end of that speech, I got a standing ovation, because I was in them moments, even as a speaker, you can panic. And it's this idea that I was able to have the courage and the confidence to allow myself to flow, to change, to adapt to that situation. And I did it, and I did it with flying colours. And so my realization is that it's very easy sometimes to have to be rigid. It's even harder to decide sometimes, like, this needs to change. Let's do this, because we don't know what's going to happen. So that's my realization. My lesson number 3 is to allow things to change if they need to change in the moment. Lesson number 4 is to make sure you have plenty of rest before and after. So I have a huge admiration now for people who run day retreats, weekend retreats, week retreats, because it is so taxing, not just physically, emotionally. And so I have this, it's the importance of rest before, especially, because we can have this idea that I need to practice just before, even a day before, practice. And then it's kind of, we get to the retreat and then we're knackered because we haven't had time to rest. And I've done it before. And so I've come to realize, especially before the day before, if I haven't done it by then, I'm not going to do it at all. And so it's allowing myself just to relax, to allow myself to have plenty of nice food, to have plenty of drink, to allow myself to get a good night's rest and wake up feeling nice and fresh, ready for the day ahead. But at the same time, I've also noticed the last 2 occasions how much I need to recover after. I slept for 2 hours yesterday when I got back, and I did the last time, because it completely wipes you out, because you're not just there physically, just running the event time by time. You are I was holding space for everybody, which in itself is quite a hard task. And you're not there as somebody taking part. You are able to receive, whereas I've got to allow myself to receive, but also to give. So there's a balance kind of thing. And so this kind of links to life generally. If we're doing a speaking gig, if we're doing podcasts, if we're doing business, general life, we need to make sure that we have plenty of rest, because when we are fully rested, our immune system, our nervous system is fully working. We feel in a good way. Lesson number 5 is there will be doubts, fears, insecurities when you start. And the reason I say this is because I know from the events gone by that even when I've done it many, many, many times, I still get anxious. Like this episode I'm recording, this episode now is my 102nd episode on the podcast. And when I'm interviewing a guest, I still get anxious now after doing over 100 episodes. I remember doing in COVID, I recorded 80. I had this idea of launching another podcast to do with taking big action kind of thing. And I did 80 interviews. So I've done almost 200 interviews on Zoom, and I still get anxious now. I still get insecurities. I still get certain guests that when I interview them, I almost put them on a pedestal because I look up to them. And so it's being able to notice these doubts, these insecurities, these fears, because then only when we notice them can we say, okay, I've noticed that. Okay, I'm going to step in with courage and do it anyway. And yes, if we go back to using the retreats, I actually feel a lot more comfortable running the retreats. But I do notice at the very beginning of when people are arriving, I almost twiddling my thumb. I almost noticing I'm feeling nervous. I've got this nervous energy that I'm trying to pace. But that's okay. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to have insecurities. It's okay to have doubts, fears, anxiousness, whatever that is. It's okay. What's not okay is to allow those things to stop you from doing what you need to do. So whatever it is, I ask the question, if there's something that you really, really want, and you've got all these insecurities, fears, and whatever it is, doubts, why don't you just do it anyway? Because I feel like we're always going to have these in the back of our heads for most people. So if you allow them to stop us now, we're always going to allow it to stop us. So let's have the courage to step forward and do it anyway. And that is one of my biggest takeaways, is it's okay to feel these emotions, these insecurities, whatever it is, but just keep going and doing it. That's where the change happens. That's where transformation happens. That is where you create impact. That is where you help other people. That is where you help yourself. Lesson number 6 is when you first start doing something like this, it's going to be slow. When you first start a business, it's going to be slow. When you first start wanting to be a speaker, it's going to be slow. When you first start recording podcasts or starting a podcast, it's going to be slow. It's going to be slow regardless of what you do. It's like writing a book. It's going to be slow. Everything, it's going to be slow regardless of when you first start. But it's from doing the consistent action of doing it, where you get better, you become more efficient, you're able to evolve, you get more things to add in, it improves, and it becomes transformational. So just keep going. And one thing I've noticed is, especially with my retreats and my podcast, is it is very, especially if you're not, so for example, I'll use marketing and sales. I've never been particularly great at marketing and sales. It's something I'm having to improve as I progress with my business and with different things. But one thing I've come to realize is that it is slow work, but if you keep going, if you keep taking the steps, you get better and better and better. You'll realize what works and things will change. Lesson number 7, use every opportunity, whether it's a retreat, whether it's an event, whether it's a business, whether it's an idea, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's podcast, a book, whatever it is. Okay, anything in your life. Use it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. Whether it's a sport or anything like that, use it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve, evolve. Because it's these things which help us to learn, grow, and evolve that we become better as a person. We be able to evolve into I think, a more mature person, I think. And so, yeah, with the podcast, I use a podcast as an example here rather than a retreat. And I'll use a retreat as an example in a minute. But the podcast is, my initial idea with the podcast was to have it called Man, A Quest to Find Meaning, with the idea of helping men. But as I've evolved on my journey, I've changed it to You Matter, I Matter, because my life's changed. I've changed. And it's this idea that as we learn, grow, and evolve, we find things that work better, we find things that perhaps don't work, and we're able to change and alter. If you use the example of the retreat, the first retreat, one of the ladies suggested having a group, a partnered healing session with dragon energy. That idea went down really, really well, and I've included it in this one. I'll include it in the next one. And then also the suggestion of having a group healing where I will channel dragon energy and heal people. That's an opportunity for perhaps the next one or the next one after that to kind of start to evolve it, kind of thing. And it's these opportunities to really grow that give us the abilities to really find out who we truly are as a person. So there we go. 7 lessons that I have learned from running the last 2 retreats that can be incorporated into your everyday life. So let me just quickly give you a recap. So first one was, it's not going to be perfect. The second lesson, have a beginner's mind and be open to feedback. The third is to allow things to change, especially allow things to change on the day. 4th, make sure you have plenty of rest before and after. 5, understand that there's always going to be doubts, fears, insecurities, but just keep going and start. 6, everything from the beginning is going to be slow. Just keep going, keep pushing. And the last one is to use every opportunity, whether it's a retreat, whether it's a book, whether it's a speaking gig, podcast, business, whatever it is, use it to learn, grow, and improve. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you can use these lessons that I have incorporated here into your everyday life. They are all very transparent into everything that we do. Thank you for listening. If something in today's conversation resonated, take a moment to sit with it. And if you feel called, share this episode with someone who might need it too. You Matter, I Matter is a growing space. And if you'd like to stay connected, you're welcome to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. It really helps this work to reach people it's meant for. These conversations matter. You matter, I matter. Until next time, take care of yourself and the relationships in your life.